Matt. We're back at the Earthen Shelter. We're going to finish this build out on this week. Before we get into the next steps, you can see I got the roof on. I realized I didn't fully cover why you would want to build an earthen shed or a WOFATI style shelter for whatever you're building it for, whether it's to store your freezer in like I'm doing, or as a livestock shelter. Basically, what's going to happen once we get it all done, here on the sides, it's going to be covered in earth. The top's going to be buried in dirt about 12 inches. It'll have a green roof, and the soil is an amazing insulator. So for me, that's going to help with the reduction in energy, protecting my battery bank when my freezer's running on real hot days, since the freezer is going to be in here. But if you build them for animal shelters and you've got them facing east, it's a good natural way to build. All these all this Douglas fir that made the main beams, harvested on my neighbor's land. He has plenty of diseased fir that he's trying to get rid of, and so he helped me out in exchange for some labor. Lets me build a shed. Most people have some trees that they can use. Yeah, if I live somewhere with Robinia pseudoacacia, everyone's favorite permaculture tree, black locust. Actually, a lot of people hate it. What about you? Do you love it or do you hate it? I think it's a cool tree. I hope to grow some up here in the foothills of the Sapphire Mountains. It's not native, but I think it's got a lot going on for it. But if I had that, that's what I would use. That said, this Douglas fir, super strong wood. It's going to last quite a while, because the next step for this build is going to be to wrap the entire thing in a Tyvek style wrap like you would wrap a house in, and then I'm going to put a pond liner on top of that, so no moisture is going to really be affecting this wood except for where it's in contact with the ground. Again, I'm in the Bitterroot Valley of Montana, 12 inches annual precipitation. It's going to be a long time before those posts rot out. But let's check out how we give the shed a wrap. We've got the Tyvek on. We're at one of the back corners. There's two details with the Tyvek I want to make sure you're aware of should you try this at home. This is encouraged to try at home. One is when you have to make a fold with the material, you don't want it like this. You can see this has created a crease that can catch water and hold it in. Instead, I'm folding it inward and reduced the places that can catch water and hold water against the membrane. The other detail that I wanted to show you is just like putting together a windowsill. Start from the bottom up. So you do your low layer of wrap first, go around, and then you do the upper layer. That way any water that comes in and gets underneath the pond liner that's on top of this, but say the pond liner fails and water gets in, water will come down the siding and sheet off here and not go in and be up next to the lumber. Whereas if we had these layers reversed, this layer was out here and water came down this, it would then be trapped in between the liner or the wrap and the wood, and that's what we don't want. We want that wood to stay nice and dry. As you can see, we got the pond liner on. The pond liner I had, since I had just had one sitting around and I didn't buy one specifically for this project, doesn't go quite to the ground on both sides. So on this side where it doesn't touch the ground, just underneath it, I put 2 more layers of the Tyvek wrap, and I'm feeling pretty confident with our low precip rates and the high infiltration. Basically, once water goes through the topsoil, it's going way down deep into the groundwater, that this is going to stay plenty dry. Started roughing in the retaining wall, since it's not fully buried in the ground since I hit bedrock. If you're able to dig deeper, you got a steeper hillside, you probably won't have to do this. I recommend that. That said, the old owner of this land had a bunch of these good timbers just laying around, so it's not an extra expense. I just had to cut them and haul them into place. Thor's really excited. He wants to be part of the video. Maybe we'll go take a look at him real quick. Say hey, Thor. Yep, that's Thor the poodle. He's pretty fierce. So next up, I'm waiting on some rebar, so I can get this stuff pounded into place and then start backfilling. I'm gonna start. Look at that! It's almost got dirt covering the whole thing. This is the Earthen Shelter. I wanted to show it to you fully buried and with doors. That said, I'm too close to my editing deadline to get this video out to you on this fine Thursday. So this gives you a great glimpse of the process, why you would build one, primarily the insulation. It'd be really cool if you built a house like this, I think, pun intended. So if you're into that, let me know. And hopefully you enjoyed this two-part series on how to build an earth shelter. You understand why you would want to build one, and the process, you know, digging out your hole, putting the logs in some trenches, getting them erect, all tied in together, getting some wrap on it, and then filling it. And then hopefully you learned how to adapt to your circumstances. I hit bedrock, so I'm using a little more extra fill, using a retaining wall. I'm still going to have 2 feet of dirt all the way around this. It's actually only going to be about 10 inches on the top. You can see the retaining wall I added. Next up, once it's backfilled, before I build the doors even, I'm going to get it all seeded in a cover crop. Since we're approaching fall, I'm probably going to go with a mix of daikon and maybe oats, something that'll winter kill, not come back, but get it established. And then next spring, I'm going to plant this all in pollinator-friendly perennials and annuals. It'll be a nice little flowery haven. That way it's nice and green, eco-friendly. Let me know what you thought of this build, if you enjoyed it, or if you want to get back to more gardening stuff. And either way, until I see you next time, happy growing.